What's up, guys, and welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be engaging in some brain rot because this is my most popular YouTube short, plugging adapters into adapters and charging this here Apple iPod Touch. And that is the kind of brain rot that I create. Not that I really want to be creating that level of brain rot, but if you want to create a YouTube short for the YouTube Shorts audience to consume, if you want your short to have views, you need to have at least 99.9% of it being brain rot slop, because otherwise no one will watch it. And well, 31.4 million people watched the 11 YouTube shorts I'm going to be recreating. I'll let you be the judge. Which one of these is the most brain rot and which is the least? I would say this may not be the most brain rot idea. Plugging in adapters, what this is lightning to USB-C adapters and USB-C to lightning. Basically 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, plugging them all in. Actually, there were 6 of them, but I don't know where one of them is, so there's 5 of them now. So obviously this Apple iPod Touch has a lightning port. That's what on this end, but of course it starts out as USB-C plugged into the iPod, and sure enough, all those adapters are charging it. That is 9 million views worth of content right there. Well, another piece of content is actually probably the least brain rot thing I've ever created when it comes to YouTube Shorts, because 7.9 million people found this probably useful. Rubbing alcohol erases Sharpie. So yeah, the Sharpie's dissolved in the rubbing alcohol, and you do the wiping like you're wiping the bum, and then that is no more Sharpie. Next up on the brain rot list, 4.6 million people watched this, and what it is, come on, just open up. This actually is kind of hard to get off on this particular Apple charger. This Apple Firewire charger has a slightly different port than what you might be used to, and the point of this video was to really convey that, okay, an Apple iPad charger, this is the $19 Apple cable, and you can't use the $19 cable with the Firewire brick. You can't, because the notch is not the same. You may notice how there's an extra notch on the Apple Firewire thing, and yes, a lot of the comments where Apple user discovers universal outlet, universal port, whatnot. Yeah, obviously, I didn't take the time to mention in the YouTube short that, oh, in fact, it is a universal plug, because if you start including nuggets of information that extend the length of the YouTube short, then people will swipe away and nobody will care. It has to be shaved off and optimized to include the biggest ratio of brain rot to content in the YouTube short. So you plug in your Apple TV power cord and it works. It's actually not even all that cursed, even though it looks extremely cursed. Apple would absolutely hate this. There's not even any exposed anything. And unlike on the other chargers, see how that's metal and see how that's plastic. It's not even grounded. You're not even bypassing anything. It's completely fine. This is also probably the only way to extend the Apple 30-pin to Firewire cable, because there's no USB extensions, because it's not USB. So if you are an individual that may benefit from this information, you're welcome. And now the next thing, we got to bring it back to this wall brick, actually, because it has to do with this wall brick. People thought this was quite cursed. You take the prongs out of the wall brick like we just done, also to do with the Apple TV, because the Apple TV has that same plug. You can just take your Apple charger prongs and just insert it into the Apple TV and then use your Apple TV as a wall brick. Quite a cursed thing, and actually something that might be useful to some individuals, because on these older Apple TVs, you can actually take out the optical audio and plug it into an amplifier. So you can just use this as an AirPlay box to your old amplifier that has an optical audio port on it. So you're welcome. I actually use it like this, and it does work. I've had no problems. And if you use it for that purpose, you don't need to even plug it into HDMI unless you need to set it up and connect it to Wi-Fi and whatnot. So it's a set it and forget it kind of thing, and you just plug it into an outlet. Bang, you're done. So we can plug it into the outlet, I suppose. We gotta create the content, use the brain rot. Look, not even sticking out. It's fine. You can't even stick your finger in there and get shocked. It actually just sticks like a normal. So, oh, and the Apple TV is turning on, the light's flashing because it's booting up and whatnot, but we can just unplug it like that. There's your Apple TV. And you know what else about this Apple TV? Well, this was quite a cursed thing that lots of people watched, and I can see why, because it's really quite cursed, actually. Very high on the brain rot scale. You may notice how this particular HDMI cable is missing part of itself. With this particular Apple TV, you can't use the HDMI with the wall brick inserted, so you just shave it down, and then you can plug it into the HDMI like normal. And that's right, this actually works, because actually it didn't shave away any of the important bits. It was just rubber plastic. But here, I'll show you what it's supposed to look like. There's one, there's two. This one here used to look like this one. Very, very cursed and worthy of short form content, as it is quite brain rotty. And more to do with Apple stuff. Not the Apple TV anymore, fortunately. Apple's proprietary USB cable. You may notice the Apple logo on it. This is a cable that's old enough to where Apple actually had the logo on it, because it was a quite long time ago. We're talking about maybe 16, 17 years ago that they stopped putting the Apple logo on cables. So what this is a proprietary USB cable, and I am not exactly kidding when I say that, because you may notice on this Apple cable here a notch. It's actually proprietary. Even though it's Universal Serial Bus, they have taken the Universal and made it Apple. For it to actually function as intended, you need one of these Apple keyboards. And fun fact, I actually use this as my keyboard every day. It's 21 years old, and in my opinion, it's been a long time since Apple's made keyboards that you'd want to use. But the reason you need this keyboard is because it has what you need. You see this notched indentation here? Well, that's to go with the notch on this cable, because Apple had quite short cables on the keyboards. They'd give you this extension cable to plug it into the back of your tower computer. So you'd be able to have a long cable if you needed it, but if you didn't, you can just plug it into the back of your iMac and have no excess cord. I've done it before, but I'm having trouble right now. Oh, I did it. There you go. And on this one here, I actually removed the notch, so it is just a normal cable. You may notice how you can see where the notch was, but it's not there now, and it just goes in like a regular cable. That was actually 2 separate YouTube shorts. So technically, that's 2 YouTube shorts in one there, but you know, you can't just make a long YouTube short doing all this in one YouTube short, because again, you need to maximize the brain rot to length ratio. And you also need to make sure the topic that they started watching for is present throughout the entire video. If you start doing a whole other different thing, even though it relates to the same thing, no one will care, because it's a YouTube Shorts audience. And I think this may quite possibly be the most brain rot short I've ever done. These. I did several videos about these here adapters. Here, let's just get a few of them out. Like, come on, out. I did so many videos about these here adapters, and so many comments were like, gay, lesbian, because this is a male-to-male aux adapter. This is a female-to-female aux adapter, and you know, you get the point. That's all it was, 1.7 million views worth, because it is brain rot, and it is also mildly amusing. The perfect combination for a YouTube short. That is what content is. More funny brain rot time. We got some outlets. We got an Apple charger, and actually we're not going to recreate that short exactly, because I think it's funny to use Apple's original USB charger for this, because you know, you got to make use of the things you bought with money, because I paid money for this and unboxed it last week, and we got to make use of it. So like this and like this. This is the first ever USB charger that Apple ever sold, and this is, well, the one you're all familiar with. There's a big size difference. I actually haven't done this in a YouTube short yet, and I probably will, because that's perfect YouTube Shorts content. Just being like, hey guys, I have chargers here, and this one's big, this one's small. Thanks for watching. Bye. The 711,000 views worth of lowered brain cells of content here is charging a single iPhone with multiple USB chargers at the very same time. So yeah, 2 USB chargers, one singular, it's a mini USB, again with more adapters. So in here we've got our adapters, this one which is a micro USB to mini USB, and in here I have the very broken, almost doesn't work, but it's the only one I have, micro USB to lightning adapter. Got the very same iPhone from that video, guys, and we can plug him in. And look, he's charging. And you may notice how he's plugged into 2 chargers. And the thing is, what I mean by it stopped charging, actually, because this freaking adapter is so dead, it has to be held in the right position for it to actually... There. We can use our adapters to prop up the iPhone, because that's actually going to keep it in the right position to charge. You know how you have headphones and you need to hold it in the right position for it to actually play sound? Well, that's what this is, but with adapters. So we can unplug this one. Notice how the guy is still charging. Plug that guy back in. Unplug this one. Notice how it's still charging. Well, it started and stopped charging. And then we unplug the other one, and it stopped charging because it's just swapping between the 2 chargers. So yes, I've essentially invented redundant iPhone charging. Good for me. Out with that brain rot. In with this brain rot. You may notice how this is a Radio Shack splitter right there. 1 aux to 2 aux to male aux, and then to another one. So essentially I created an entirely useless adapter that adapts absolutely nothing. 500-something thousand individuals thought that this was content worthy. Sure, it is funny, and it does work. Nothing's wrong with it. It's just cursed. I'm talking about plugging adapters into adapters. These are HDMI adapters, and 118,000 people watched me plug them into each other, and then plug it into a monitor and see what happens. Because content, guys, we got content. Oh no, I can't plug it into the Apple TV. Whatever will I do? Well, you grab out your HDMI cable. Is this brain rot enough for you? Then you grab the other end of your HDMI cable, you plug it in, and then you put it in the HDMI port. You get the point. Do I need to demonstrate? We can grab out our monitor and try it, because we gotta make sure you guys get the full brain rot experience. If you guys don't have at least -4 or 5 IQ points by the time this video is over, then you are immune to YouTube Shorts brain rot, and you should probably get help. See, we can combine our brain rot ideas into multiple things here, because we got the HDMI put together, we got the Apple TV into a wall brick with our cut down cable. This is just pure content. We take the Apple TV, we plug the Apple TV in, and then we look at our monitor. When it turns on, we're gonna be like, wow. I think I might have brain rotted myself out of realizing that this monitor has what's called a need for AC power, and it's not plugged in, therefore it will not turn on. What a novel idea. Power cord. Okay, ready? Be amazed, guys. No signal. Are we running into problems? What could it be? Too many right angles, huh? Okay, let's try this again. There's your thing. And we turn the monitor around, and oh look, be amazed, guys. The Apple TV has shown up because, well, if you plug in HDMI adapters to each other, that's what happens. This is the purest form of content. Oh, and yes, on this ancient Apple TV, which just happens to be my most popular not YouTube short, you can still watch Apple TV on the Apple TV, even though this Apple TV is quite literally a piece of ancient history. And watch what happens when I unplug the Apple TV. Oh my gosh, can you believe it? The Apple TV doesn't show up on the monitor anymore. Oh, and next up is this, these adapters again. Well, what we do is we plug them into each other and see what happens. And there's a mismatched number of these because, well, I think I'm using some of these adapters elsewhere, but I've just plugged in all of those into each other and almost enough to create a circle. Actually, it's gonna need about half again as much maybe. Look, guys, it's essentially male to male. It's essentially a really stupid aux cable. Even though I didn't do this in the YouTube short, you know what might make this absolutely more cursed for no reason at all? Dangle, dangle, dangle. And to make it even worse, I've got this speaker. And actually, I'm gonna have to unplug this guy and plug in this guy. It's actually so bent that I'm afraid it's gonna damage it, but this is for the content. Grab some YouTube audio library tracks straight out of the phone. Oh, it's actually playing out of this thing. What's really cursed is that this is a car speaker and it's meant to be amplified with, you know, an amplifier, so you're not really supposed to solder a 3.5mm cable onto it and plug it into a phone because it's very, very quiet, actually. So has your brain been sufficiently rotted out while watching this video? Probably, right? Subscribe or you smell bad. Drop a like and comment which video idea was the most brain rot. I will not be offended because the YouTube shorts are, well, they are what they are. Do consider supporting me on YouTube or Patreon, and when I do my weekly uploads, there's also a video for the supporters that is just as high quality as the videos for everyone, except it's just for the supporters. And this time, I'm actually unboxing the mega package that is the follow-up to the video where I got that enormous iPod collection. That's just a channel member video. That's right, I could make it a video for everyone, but I'm choosing not to. Bunch of sealed Apple products and whatnot. I'll see you guys next week for another video. Till then, subscribe.